Dr. Evelyn Monroe stood frozen in the center of Courtroom 5 inside the Central Federal Courthouse. The breath caught painfully in her chest as her arms were yanked behind her back and locked in gleaming steel handcuffs. The sharp bite of metal against her wrists shot a searing ache up to her shoulders, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the wave of shock, humiliation, and righteous fury swelling inside her. Here she was, the Associate Attorney General of the United States, being restrained like a criminal inside a federal courtroom, the very space where justice was meant to prevail. Her charcoal gray tailored suit and ivory silk blouse, chosen with care to reflect professionalism and quiet authority, now seemed to mock her as they contrasted starkly against the demeaning image of her hands shackled behind her back. Her usual calm, collected expressiona mask of intelligence and control was drawn tight, her lips pressed into a thin, quivering line as she struggled to contain the fury boiling beneath her composed exterior. The officer restraining her was Marcus Bennett, a burly, bald man in his early 40s whose muscles strained against his uniform sleeves. His face was tense, conflicted, yet dutiful as he followed the harsh command barked at him. Directly in front of Dr. Monroe stood Rick Dalton, another officer around the same age. His military-style blonde hair buzzed close to his scalp, a permanent scowl etched into his weathered features. Dalton's face radiated arrogance, his eyes full of disdain as he glared at her. "What the hell do you think you're doing, Dr.?" Monroe's voice rang out, strained but still echoing its natural authority. "Release me immediately. You have no right to detain me. This is completely unlawful." "Unlawful?" Dalton scoffed, stepping closer, his sneer widening. "You're the one violating court rules, causing a disturbance, resisting authority grounds enough to have you thrown out of here." "I wasn't causing a disturbance," Monroe shot back, voice sharp as steel. "I requested that you maintain order. You were the ones being disruptive and disrespectful in this courtroom." Dalton's face turned an even deeper shade of red as he barked back. "How dare you lecture me? Who do you think you are, talking down to us like that?" "Bennett, get her out of here, throw her onto the street where she belongs." The two officers began shoving Dr. Monroe toward the heavy wooden doors leading to the main corridor, the same doors through which attorneys, judges, and members of the public would soon be entering. The few early arrivals in the courtroom, lawyers reviewing notes, family members of litigants, and courthouse staff watched in stunned disbelief as the respected black woman was dragged toward the exit like a common criminal. 10 minutes earlier, the courtroom had been nearly empty, awaiting the start of a pivotal civil rights trial involving allegations of systemic discrimination by a local government agency. Dr. Monroe had arrived quietly, early, intending to observe the proceedings in person. Her position at the Department of Justice included oversight of such sensitive cases. She had chosen to sit discreetly in the public gallery, her briefcase at her side, reviewing case notes and court filings. The courtroom had been silent except for the soft shuffling of papers and the faint clicking of a keyboard at the clerk's desk. But that solemn atmosphere had been shattered by the loud, boorish conversation between Dalton and Bennett near a staff-only door across the room. Their crude banter about football scores and off-color jokes echoed obnoxiously through the chamber, drawing glares from attorneys and distracting Monroe from her work. After several minutes, unable to concentrate any longer, she rose from her seat and approached the two men. She had addressed them politely, standing at a respectful distance. "Excuse me, officers," she began, voice calm. "I know court hasn't yet come to order, but this space demands respect. Please, could you lower your voices so others may focus on their work? Thank you." It was a simple, reasonable request delivered with poise. But Dalton bristled instantly, his thinly veiled prejudice ignited by the mere suggestion that a black woman, however respectful, would dare speak to him that way. "Who do you think you are, giving us orders?" Dalton snapped, puffing out his chest. "This is our workplace. If you don't like it, there's the door." Monroe remained composed. "I'm not giving orders. I'm requesting the courtesy of decorum in a courtroom. We all share the responsibility of maintaining order here." Dalton's scowl deepened. "You don't get to tell me what's appropriate. You're probably just another lawyer trying to spin some story for criminals or maybe a defendant's relative looking to cause trouble." At that, Monroe's patience frayed. "I am here as an observer and as a citizen," she said, her voice turning colder. "And I have the right to be treated with basic respect in a public courtroom. If you cannot behave professionally, I will request to speak with your supervisor. Dalton laughed, his contempt now unmasked. You think you can march in here and demand to speak to my boss? Just another black woman playing dress-up, thinking she's somebody. Show me your ID right now. I will not, Monroe replied, her spine straight, eyes unwavering. Your demand is unlawful. Your conduct is harassment, and I will not tolerate it. Dalton's face twisted into fury. You're resisting a lawful order. Bennett, cuff her and get her out of here. Now. The brute strength of Marcus Bennett clamped Monroe's wrists behind her back as Dalton loomed, triumphant. The abuse of authority had escalated into a public spectacle. The courtroom buzzed with uneasy murmurs and several people began recording with their phones. But as Bennett and Dalton pushed Monroe toward the door, a commanding voice echoed across the chamber, "Stop right there." The voice belonged to Judge Robert Langston, who had just entered from the rear hallway. His black robe billowed behind him as he strode into the courtroom, eyes narrowed in furious disbelief. What in God's name is going on here? Judge Langston demanded, his gaze locked onto the two officers and their handcuffed victim. Dalton blanched. Your Honor, this woman was causing a disturbance. We were removing her as ordered. The judge's eyes fell on Monroe. He took in her professional appearance, the calm dignity on her face even now, and a flicker of recognition crossed his features. What disturbance? What orders? Who gave you the authority to handcuff a spectator in my courtroom? His voice was a low growl. Monroe raised her shackled hands slightly. Judge Langston, my name is Evelyn Monroe, Associate Attorney General of the United States. I am here under the directive of the Department of Justice to observe today's proceedings. The silence that fell over the room was deafening. Dalton's mouth dropped open. Bennett's grip slackened as he stumbled back, horror dawning across his face. Judge Langston's eyes widened, fury radiating from his posture. You handcuffed the Associate Attorney General? You fools! Do you realize what you've done? Release her immediately. The judge's roar sent Dalton scrambling for the keys. His hands shook so badly he fumbled, dropping them to the floor. The metallic clatter echoed through the silent chamber as he scrambled to pick them up. The cuffs sprang open, leaving angry red marks on Monroe's wrists. She stood straight, glaring down at the two trembling officers now wilting beneath the judge's outrage. You will remain here, Judge Langston snapped. Do not move. Do not speak. Ms. Monroe, please accompany my clerk to my chambers so you may call your office. I will personally ensure your safety while this disgrace is addressed. The fallout that followed would become a landmark moment in legal history.